All right, everybody, welcome back to Wrestling with Power. This is, of course, the best wrestling podcast ever in Double E. I am Mr. Mosley, joined as always by
Slick Vic. Yeah, we love Double E.
and this week we got a lot of things to talk about. Vic, we got big news. AJ Lee is back. Spoiler alert. Apparently WrestleMania is going overseas. I had it here as sort of a maybe type thing, but within the past hour. By the way, guys, we're recording this on Friday, September the 12th currently, because we were recording on Wednesday, then we moved it to Thursday, and then, we had business to tend to, so now we're doing it on Friday. So
Horseman business.
And then currently SmackDown is ongoing, so we don't know what's going on the current SmackDown. But this week we're going to be talking about SmackDown from September the 5th. Of course, Raw from September the 8th. And all kinds of other things. WrestleMania 43 discussion, AJ Lee, AJ Styles, every AJ you can think of is going to be in this episode. Slick Vic, how are you doing today?
I am doing quite well. I've been to the dark side. I've soared with the eagles and slid with the snakes and been everywhere in between. But it was gonna be hell or high water before I missed this podcast tonight.
Well, I think what the people really want to know is, were there any Hulkamaniacs there?
No, absolutely not.
Well, the
Hulkamaniacs are they're loved and they're in our hearts.
That's quite lame that there were no Hulkamaniacs there. Had you ever been there before?
It's been a while.
Okay.
But yes, I've been there.
Vic, I want to start out this week talking about something here real quick, because I feel like last episode we didn't get around to it until partway through the episode, and it's actually one of my favorite things that I have tentatively titled, and maybe permanently titled, Vic's Gimmick. So each and every week, Vic is bringing us a new gimmick he's got here, and if you're watching this on the YouTube channels, which, hey, by the way, we got episode 7 up on YouTube last week, as well as Spotify, but we're finally on the YouTubes. A lot of good feedback from that not really a change, but addition to the show. But yeah, Vic's Gimmick over here, he's got something on his table, and I want to look at it because I can kind of see it from here, and it looks very interesting because it looks like something that I actually adore. And let's see what that is, Vic.
Dun, 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 dun.
Where did you get such a thing? I need to know.
Actually, my wife's had this like in storage for like 20 something years. It belonged to her parents, I think.
Oh my God.
So yeah, this is like a 30-year-old gimmick because Tales from the Crypt is a 90s thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is that 3D? Is this like ARM 3D in the bottles, or does it just look that way to me?
It's just like coming out of the side of the casing there, or the cardboard. It does come out a little bit.
Yeah, he's 3D. He's separate from the thing. So what Vic's got for any of you out there who are listening rather than watching, it's sort of like a tabletop, like if you go to a restaurant, what you see on the table that's got like drinks on it. It looks like that. It's like a cardboard triangular shaped Budweiser advertisement, but it has the Crypt Keeper on the front of it, and it says, join me, what does it say? Join me for a drink at the bottom.
Join me for a cold one.
Join me for a cold one.
Budweiser sponsorship.
He's holding some beers in his hand. He's got about 3 in his hand. That's old. That is old because that's the old logos in Bud Ice. They don't even make that anymore.
Yeah, this is from 1995, according to the copyright on the back. There's even, instructions on how to enter in their sweepstakes, but I'm not going to read that fine print. That's a lot of fine print.
You should enter in their sweepstakes.
Maybe I'll win, man. Who knows?
You never know.
Let me ask, were you a fan of Tales from the Crypt?
When I was a kid, and that's why I said I could see the Crypt Keeper there. Man, when I was a kid, we didn't have HBO. Like, we had just regular cable, and HBO was not a cable channel. Every once in a while, they would, there were 3 channels that were blanked out pretty much all the time. But every once in a while, they would come in. And I think it was sort of like offering, maybe you can upgrade your cable package or something. But it was HBO and like Disney Channel and something else. But I remember, not vividly, but I remember when I was a kid, real little, watching the intro to that and scaring the shit out of me every time. Like I would sit and there's like dun 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 dun, and it's going down the stairwell and everything, and like it's coming up on the thing. And I would try to hide my eyes before he popped out of the coffin, but I never could time it right, so it always scared the shit out of me.
That's a really iconic opening,
Yeah.
man. That's the stuff of legends. Good stuff. HBO in the '90s was crazy.
Did you know that?
But
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask, do you have a favorite episode or one that comes to mind when you think of Tales from the
Man,
Crypt?
I really don't. I don't have them memorized that well. I own the first season on Vudu because it was on sale on Vudu at one point in time. And so I bought the first season, and now you can't buy any of them anymore. But since I already bought it, I still have it. But like, they took them all off there for some reason. So I don't know if I have a particular favorite episode.
Is there any like scenes or moments that come to mind, like the Santa Claus, the guy who can die 9 times because he's got the cat DNA in
I don't
him?
remember that one. No, I don't remember that one. Like I said, I have the first season, so that's going to be the one that's most fresh in my mind. Was that in the? I don't remember that being in the first season.
First season did have the episode where like this man dies, but he comes back to life by this mad scientist who splices like cat DNA in him.
Huh.
He's like a circus. He's like a circus performer, and his gimmick is like he gets killed every time, and he gets brought back to life because the cat has 9 lives.
I might barely remember that. Really, the first thing that pops in my head is the episode with Demi Moore.
Okay,
That's the
yeah,
one that I think of right off the bat.
I don't I don't remember the plot of that episode. I do remember seeing her in an episode.
I don't know if it was if that was her episode, but I do remember the fortune teller episode too. Do you remember that from the
Okay,
first season? There was like a fortune teller.
I feel like I should. Does she have a crystal ball?
Yeah, I think she had a crystal ball. Yeah.
You know, I remember the first episode I saw was that escaped mental patient dressed as Santa Claus, and that scared the heck out of me. Scared the hell out of me because that that guy looked really scary.
Yeah.
It was another his makeup job or whatever, and the wife kills her husband at the beginning of the episode, and a Santa Claus is after her. She can't call the cops because her dead husband's still in the house,
Oh wow.
and it's good stuff. It's really good tension and naughty or nice.
Would you call that cinema?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. A good 25 minutes worth of cinema.
Yeah, Tales from the Crypt was awesome, dude. It was like peak. Like it was one of those things in the 90s that was like just all of a sudden it was pop culture. The Crypt
Mhm.
Keeper and the whole thing. They made a movie.
It might. Yeah, they made 3 of them.
I didn't know that.
It might be one of those things that like one of my earliest memories of horror in general might be Tales from the Crypt. Like I remember watching it as a very young lad with my older brother, and a lot of it scaring the shit out
Yeah,
of me.
it was horrifying to a kid. What I was going to mention earlier
Yeah,
there, Vic, did you know that the eyes that were used for the Crypt Keeper were actually Chucky's eyes from the first Child's Play movie?
I did not know that. It's a very interesting trivial
I
fact there.
promise.
Where did you?
I read that. The internet told me, and the internet never lies.
Okay.
Google it. Google
Well,
it.
since we,
Fact check me. I want to know if I'm right myself.
I,
No,
I believe
I
you.
seriously read that. If you look at his eyes, like they really do look just like the eyes from, Child's Play, the first Child's Play movie, which was a lot different from like every other one that came after it.
Okay.
Every other Child's Play, like Child's Play 2 and 3 were a little bit more comical, I think. And the doll looked a little bit different. He still had the light blue eyes, but I'll always love that original first OG Chucky design.
To me, yeah, that's actually a effective horror movie,
Mhm.
and I think, and I remember when I looked through the internet, there's actually a lot of people that really champion part 2 as well.
I love part 2 and 3.
Me too, and I didn't know this until the internet came out, but people actually hate part 3, and I'm like, what?
Why do they
I think
hate
it's
part
great.
3?
Everyone's got their reasons, but I thought the idea of Andy going to military school after the events of the first 2 movies makes perfect sense.
Wow.
So yeah,
Interesting. I
I like.
just did a little Googling here, fact check myself. Says here is this is from Reddit, but I mean, the first thing that comes up: the Crypt Keeper has Chucky's eyes. FX technician Kevin Yar, Yagher is this guy's last name. I don't know how you say that. Yar or Yager, Yagerbomb. Kevin Yager
Maybe.
created both puppets and
You hit
reused Chucky's clear blue eyes for the show. So the same dude made the Chucky doll as made the Crypt Keeper, apparently.
well. Yeah, and if, I don't mean to cut our conversation short on Tales from the Crypt or whatnot, but one thing I forgot to mention last week, which is one of my gimmicks, which is also in the background, because last week we or two well, it's now been almost actually no, it's been 2 weeks now, but Metal Gear Solid Delta came out,
Yes.
and if you can see right here,
I've beaten it like 4 times already.
I've got a little autograph from David Hayter,
Ooh,
voice of Naked Snake,
nice.
Solid Snake as well. Yeah, you're pretty good.
Nice.
This also, this is not going to be the only time we talk about Metal Gear Solid today. I'm warning you.
Yeah, you mentioned this to me before, but I didn't catch it, so I'm interested to see that happen. But this is Wrestling with Power, so let's talk about some wrestling-related stuff, Vic, shall we? It's been fun talking about Tales from the Crypt, and I could stand here and talk about this stuff all day, but there's a lot of wrestling to get to. So
Yeah.
let's go and, well, we're going to get around to this in the SmackDown review here in just a few minutes, but the big news and what we pretty much were talking about on the last week's episode, everything was pointing to it. We even did a cooking the books on this, and so far our books were cooked correctly, apparently. AJ Lee is back, officially back in the WWE.
Yes, she is.
There's video of her signing a contract. I don't know if the details of that contract came out, how long it is or whatever, but AJ Lee's back. She's back. She's coming to CM Punk's defense.
Yeah.
So,
Are you happy to have her back?
oh yeah,
Yeah, me too.
I wasn't a big AJ Lee fan during that period, just simply because she was just one of the girls. She wasn't anything to me. I didn't see her as anything special at the time. I didn't see any of them as anything special at the time, quite frankly, because that was sort of in a weird period. I feel like where you go from, the mud wrestling matches of the Attitude Era to the Women's Revolution of people like Bayley and Becky Lynch and, Charlotte and everybody who started that Women's Revolution. And AJ kind of fell in that weird PG era that not really, I mean, things were happening, but it was like the Divas title era.
Yeah.
So,
The Divas era is what I was going to call it.
yeah. So, but yeah, it's awesome that she's back because now her what she did before can sort of be looked at in a different light. I feel like based on how this run goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy for
I
her.
feel like I feel like her and Paige just missed out
Mhm.
on this Women's Revolution. Paige unfortunately got hurt, and AJ retired. But now that AJ's back, and I'm predicting right now, if Paige can get medical clearance, she'll be back as well.
Yeah.
I even think she's teased about it on the internet so far.
That would be really cool if that happened because she was awesome. She was really good. She might have been my favorite during that time period, Paige.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't really get her shine as much as she should have, I feel like. So yeah,
Right.
hopefully she does
Her
come
career
back.
kind of got cut short.
But yeah, we'll
All right.
talk a little bit more about that when we get to the SmackDown review. The other thing that happened recently was actually happened within the last couple of hours. It was confirmed. WrestleMania 43, which is going to be coming up here in 2027, is going to be in Saudi Arabia. It is going to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where they've had all the crown jewels and the super showdowns and the greatest Royal Rumbles, and now they're actually getting the big show of the year, and there's a lot of people who are not fans of this.
Why?
I mean, I can't speak for everybody. I think there's people that have pretty bad ideas about Saudi Arabia in general. I
Okay,
think
yeah,
there's people that just
maybe
don't
the
like,
political.
yeah, don't like that it's sort of I don't know. I don't know the words to look for, but there's some controversial things that apparently go on in that town, and they
Yeah,
got a
no,
lot
you're
of
right.
money, so
Let me correct myself because yeah, there's this whole political thing which we're not going to go into, but that is true. I forgot about that, and I stand corrected. I can see why some people would be upset. I looked at it as the boys and girls are going to get their biggest payday of their
mhm.
life, and it's going to be a spectacle. It's going to be a huge spectacle. They're going to throw a lot of money at this event,
Yeah.
and there's even rumors of a bunch of legends they're going to try their darndest to bring out of retirement. So I'm not too mad. They've done so many Saudi Arabia shows. Is this whole political thing like still gonna bother people? I mean, CM Punk even came around to it.
CM Punk got a hell of a payday.
Yeah.
So I think that's the whole thing about it, man. Money talks, and as greedy as WWE is these days, and they are friggin' greedy. They're getting greedy with everything. Their ticket prices, switching WrestleMania 42 to from they were going to have it in New Orleans. I've heard that the reason they switched back to Vegas was because of Vegas paid them more money. So they're just all about scraping up as much change as they can, and obviously the Saudis are going to throw it at them because they have for years. And I don't know, man. I just feel like it in a way I'm trying to look at it from both sides. Like the other day, whenever this was before it was confirmed, this is when it was just sort of like I think they announced it in Saudi Arabia on some kind of news platform or something, and then they took it down real quick. So you can't
Yeah.
do that. People are going to notice that shit. So regardless of the fact they took it down and got out there, and I was riding down the road and I was just trying to think of pros and cons. Like, what's bad about this? What's good about this? And I came up with more bad than good. But for me personally, I don't like the fact that the girls have to wrestle in Power Ranger outfits. That's what I call them. They're
Mhm.
not actually as cool as Power Ranger outfits, but they have to, they have to completely cover their bodies up, and while that might be something that's sort of like a religious thing for them, and I understand that, and who am I to argue with that? But the thing about it is, it sticks out like a sore thumb to me. And if we're doing like Super Showdown, Greatest Royal Rumble, these things that don't really matter in the scheme of things. The Saudis are pouring tons of money. These shows look like WrestleMania shows. Every show that they do over in Saudi Arabia looks WrestleMania level. So I can't imagine how this show's going to look. It's going to be bonkers.
Yeah.
But they always have these big shows. They bring back the legends for the Saudis because they pay them a bunch of money. They do something stupid like make a belt for the Greatest Royal Rumble that we never saw again. They made the Crown Jewel Championship, which we never saw again. So they like have their own little shows, which is good. It's fine. I'll watch it. But this is WrestleMania. This is like
Yeah.
this is not something that you can just, well, not something that you would normally go and watch the replay of, or, something that you are never going to go back and watch any of the I've never went back and watched any of the Saudi matches because none of them were important enough for me to catalog or want to go back and watch. But this is WrestleMania. And I think that's why it sort of strikes a chord with so many people because of the different opinions that they have on Saudi. And I don't know. It's just, it seems to have gotten a pretty negative response across the board. And for me, sure, I'm happy for them. They're going to make a ton of money. That doesn't save me anything. I'm still having to subscribe to this ESPN bullshit for $30 a month. But, here we are.
You didn't take Stephanie McMahon's advice and just get a
I
VPN?
didn't take her. I don't look. I know some things. I know a thing or two about technology and the internets and whatnot. But I don't know anything about a VPN. I don't know what it is. I kind of know what it is, but I don't really know what it is, and I don't know what it does, and I don't trust it, and I don't want to. And from what I understand, you have to pay for the VPN too. So if I'm gonna have to pay for the
Yeah.
VPN plus pay for the thing that I'm gonna get through the VPN, am I not coming out better or almost equal to just buying the shit. I don't know.
I'll smarten you up about it off air. But what I was going to say about the Saudi Arabia show, you brought up an interesting point. How well what I think about these Saudi Arabia shows sometimes is almost like you're watching a TV show, and this is like a side story.
Yes.
Like this is like non-canon. We're gonna for a couple of weeks we're gonna do this stuff that's non-canon, and then we're gonna go back to the main stuff.
Yes, that's a really
But this, but
good example there. Yeah.
yeah, and this is WrestleMania. This is our season finale.
Mhm.
This is always our. This is every year's season finale, and they're obviously they're gonna have to keep the main storylines. There's not going to be no Saudi Arabia titles, or they might still put them on the card just for shits and giggles, but they're still going to have to follow up with Royal Rumble winners and number one contenders, and everything that's leading up to WrestleMania that normally happens is going to have to continue happening for this show.
Yeah. I
And
feel like too, if this was all right, let's say that this was anywhere else in the, not in the North America, right? Because we've had WrestleManias in Canada and we've had them all over the continental United States. This is the first one going overseas. I don't think the backlash would be nearly as bad if they said we're having WrestleMania 43 in Wembley Stadium.
yeah,
People would be ecstatic about that. Even though there's going to be, your section of people that maybe they like to go to WrestleMania every year, or maybe they just feel like it should be an American thing because it's an American-based company or whatever. But I feel like if that had been the announcement, you wouldn't see the negative reactions as much to it as you do with the Saudi Arabia thing.
I even remember an episode of Raw or SmackDown when they were in the UK, and John Cena even like openly in the ring just said we should bring WrestleMania to England, and it got a huge pop. But yeah, obviously that's not currently in the plans.
Well,
pal.
if anything, it does open that door a little bit wider to have that happen, because before it was sort of like it was going to be in America, it was going to be in the United States or Canada sometimes, but now they have really literally gone across the world to host a WrestleMania. And if there's anything good about this, that some people who are upset, maybe Europeans or people in France, because those were some really good crowds, that are upset about. Hey, I mean, this opens the door for WrestleMania to be in your country the next time, or maybe if it, in the sooner than later. We'll put it that way.
That's true.
But them Saudis, man, they have some deep pockets.
Very deep, and a lot of connections.
They got a lot of connections. They got a lot of oil, and they got a lot of money.
And TKO loves money.
They love it more than anything. Actually, that there's something that I did want to mention I didn't actually have in my show notes, but did you read the comment that the president of TKO made about the ticket
About
prices?
Something about Vince McMahon always trying to price it so families can attend. But this guy sees like a bigger picture, and it just kind of made him sound more like money grubby.
It made me want to kick that guy in the balls.
This is why I didn't go to SmackDown this past Friday, because of the ticket prices.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would have loved to go on to see John Cena's last SmackDown appearance, but I was I can make a car payment with that, with the ticket prices, just for me and a few people to go, or me and my wife to go.
Well, I mean, I just think that I went to Raw. The last time I went to Raw was maybe a year ago, maybe even a couple of years ago. I don't remember the prices being that bad for me to go to Raw, me and my son. I took my son with me. But apparently now it's a situation where everybody is complaining about it, and then this guy comes out and he says this, and I feel like that's totally missing the entire picture of what wrestling is. He compared it to UFC. He's like, WWE's ticket sales are still not as good as UFC's, and there's work to do. UFC is not the WWE. It's a completely different fucking thing. It's a completely different audience. It's not, what I'm saying? Like, WWE, you want the families to come. You want to sell those toys. How are you going to sell toys if you can't bring your kids to wrestling events? They're not going to give a crap about wrestling if they can't go and watch
Yeah.
it and, be a part of it. To me, that was a completely tone deaf comment by that guy. And
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like it's heading down a disastrous path. It could be headed down a disastrous path because, what if this is the way things go? And what if they start losing money because of these decisions and then they just decide to sell it and all of a sudden Saudi Arabia owns WWE. They got every WrestleMania now. That's what I'm thinking into the future here, Vic. I've got your feeling the
That's
power of your crystal
scary
ball.
thought. I mean, we're gonna be they've already bought Royal Rumble next year, and then the following year they got WrestleMania.
Yeah.
They're gonna collect them all.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but that was some recent news. What do you say we jump into some reviews here, Vic?
Let's do
All
it.
right. Well, we got SmackDown from September the 5th, 2025, obviously. I think that's the year we're still in. And Vic, this SmackDown was emanating from Chicago, Illinois. And because of that, we are going to let you, the hometown hero, cover SmackDown for us tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mosley. Yeah, SmackDown on September 5th. What year is this? 2025 was in Chicago, Illinois. Man, I wish I was there. I'm just going to say right away, I thought it was a great show. So let's start covering it, shall we? So first thing we have is a John Cena promo. John Cena comes over and he puts over Chicago strong. He talks about his farewell tour and how he wants to have fun and just take it in. The crowd's chanting, "Thank you, Cena." And John actually acknowledges that chant because a while back they weren't saying "Thank you, Cena" to him. They were saying some rather harsher things to Cena. John even said they used to say "F you, Cena." And again, he further talks about how Chicago even brings people back to WWE, which started an AJ Lee chant. And then talks about his match history in Chicago. I was there for WrestleMania 22 against Triple H. We were very, very harsh to Cena that night. And then I was there in 2011 against CM Punk, which still Money in the Bank 2011. It was on my birthday actually too. I saw CM Punk versus John Cena, and it was probably the best live match I've ever seen.
Cool.
I don't know if you have any memories of that match where Punk wins, blows a kiss at McMahon, and runs away with the belt. Great match. So then, let's see. The kids might call this a. Well, actually, what he says is there's one other thing he mentions too, which is I want to highlight too, is a lot of wrestlers will talk about what their favorite arena is to wrestle in. And John Cena said it's an easy answer for him. It's like, what do you say? It says, there's no argument over what town is his favorite to wrestle in. And so it's a huge glaze fest, as the kids call it. So good stuff. I enjoyed it. I'm a Chicago guy, so I'm a bit biased. But then Sami Zayn comes out, and Sammy's getting booed hard. He was getting shitted on all over by the Chicago crowd. Yeah, Sami asks John for permission to start the Sami Zayn U.S. Title Open Challenge, similar to what John did back in 2015, I believe it was. And John says, yeah, he gives him his approval. But then Sami challenges John for the first Open Challenge match. And I'm like, isn't that the other way around? Doesn't people challenge you if it's an open challenge, but you challenge John for the Open Challenge? Whatever. I'll let that slide. So yeah, that was the opening promo. Should I get right into the match, or do you have any thoughts on this electrifying promo?
We'll go ahead and get into the match, and then I'll give my thoughts on the entire meat and potatoes there.
So first thing, the match is in progress because we start after a commercial break, which is kind of odd for a John Cena match. So they trade off some arm drags reminiscent of Flair and Steamboat, and you're going to see a lot of tributes to this match. In this match, Sami tries a springboard leapfrog but botches it and lands on Cena. That's okay. Shit happens, I guess, pal. It didn't look too bad. It was, anyways. We get a "Let's go Cena, Sammy sucks" chant. Corey Graves eventually starts acknowledging the hatred that Sammy's getting. Sammy takes a wicked bounce from the Irish rope to the turnbuckle. There's a nice counter from a top rope arm drag to an AA by John Cena. And then John hits a modified pop-up power bomb, very similar to Kevin Owens, which they acknowledge. Sammy misses a haluva kick. Cena hits an angle slam. Apparently, John hit another AA during the commercial break, and Sammy kicked out. And this is what I wanted to ask you about, Mosley. I don't know. Tell me what you think about this. This idea popped into my head at this point. Should we start counting AAs in the last few John Cena matches to see how many he hits before he gets a victory?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it's definitely going to be 3+.
Okay. I mean, we've only got maybe 3 matches left of John's career, and I just want to see how many AAs he hits in each of those matches.
Can you imagine Brock Lesnar? He's going to hit like 15 of them.
Okay, so back to the match. So we get some more counters. Sammy hits the GTS, Cena hits Sammy with the GTS, and then he hits an Edge-like spear, but there's no mention of Edge. Cole mentions the big dog, but then Corey Graves says another infamous Canadian. The crowd chants for an RKO, so Cena slithers into place, but Sammy counters. Cena hits a super AA, and that should have been a 3, but Brock Lesnar's music hits. Brock comes out, hits F5s on both people, including 2 of them for Cena. Match is thrown out, and that's the end of it. I thought it was an entertaining match. I mean, I liked the callbacks to John Cena's rivals. I like the crowd, and I did have a hunch Brock would interfere because we're running out of time for WrestlePalooza. Yep. So yeah, after the match, sure enough, it's official because Brock calls to the camera, "See you at WrestlePalooza, bitch."
It sounds so funny. See your WrestlePalooza. Like, what a name for that PLE. Like, it just sounds so ridiculous to hear him say that.
I believe there's 2 things regarding that. First of all, it's a play on words. The ECW had a WrestlePalooza in the mid 90s, yep. And I think it was in Chicago, and is because we have a music festival here called Lollapalooza. Yep.
But is WrestlePalooza in Chicago? It's not. It's in Indianapolis.
Right. So the first WrestlePalooza was in Chicago, I think.
The original ECW. And I always thought that that's what they were going for, because they got the saw on it, and that's sort of like ECW looking top logo and stuff.
Yep. So,
all right. Well,
what do you think about this promo in the match?
I thought the promo was great. I was surprised by the promo. I thought it was great, and I really loved that. Honestly, Vic, that was the one and only time, maybe not the only time, but like one of the biggest it's without question, number one, that the United States Championship was a thing, was a factor, was when Cena had it and he was doing the open challenge. That was great. I loved that every week. That all those matches were awesome. So
yes,
I like that idea. I don't think Sammy will continue with it. Maybe he will. I don't know. I think this was just sort of a thing where Cena was there and he was calling back to it because of Cena. But I like the promo. I thought the promo was good, as they always are with Cena, especially these days. As far as the match, I thought the match was fantastic, and there were a few things that bothered me about the match. John Cena visibly and audibly calling spots in the ring, which he's always got flack for, and you would think after all these years he would kind of learn not to do that, but obviously he knows he does it and he doesn't care and nobody else cares, and I don't know, I don't like it, but whatever, it's John Cena, I guess. But I thought it was a good match. All the borrowed moves, the big near falls. It was sort of similar to the Cena and Logan Paul match from Clash in Paris, but it wasn't as slow as that match. And I think if you compare the two, you'll see whenever we talked about the Clash in Paris match on the last episode, Was it the last episode? Yeah, the last episode. That was one of my biggest gripes was it was just so slow and they were laying down for so long, and I didn't feel like that was is such a factor here in this match, which I liked. But yeah, they fully embraced the fact that finishers are no longer finishers, and neither is anyone else's finisher. Nobody's finisher is a finisher, apparently, because they've used everyone's. And the Lesnar thing, I think the crowd, obviously, when Lesnar came out, the crowd popped for him big. I think they were really excited to see him until they realized that this was a great match, and now he's just coming out and destroying everybody and leaving and killing this match that was actually a really good match, and it kind of looked like Cena was about to win it, and Lesnar just shit on it. So he gets a big pop, but then I think they realized what was going on, and they kind of turned on him a little bit there. But yeah, I was a fan of this. I thought this was a great way to start the show. This was a really solid match.
What did you think of the way Chicago treated Sami Zayn?
Expected. Yeah,
Really? You thought Sammy was going to get mercilessly booed?
I think, yeah, I did. I did. I like
I
the
did not expect
I
that.
like the Chicago crowd, man, because the Chicago crowd lets you know what they think. They don't play into whatever, this person's getting cheered, so no matter where we go, they're going to get cheered. No, they let you know what they think, and I kind of felt the same way where, like, I would boo Sammy if he came out. I would boo him because I wanted Sammy to turn heel when he was doing the whole Karrion Cross thing, but Sammy's just still this good guy, I don't I don't like how Sammy is booked these days. I don't like that he's this babyface underdog good guy still. I think that he should have turned heel, and I think it would have been better for him. And I think if he had come out here as a heel in this situation, he probably wouldn't have got booed out of the building by Chicago. I feel like they are echoing my sentiments, which of course I'm sort of a, and in the past I've been sort of a what do you call like I'm sort of like a stepchild of Chicago in a way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like they were echoing my sentiments there.
All right. Well, we got a backstage promo with a Miz and Mello, or Mello to Miz. They talk about wanting, they approach a hurried Nick Aldis for a tag team title match. And that's all, really. And then camera cuts to Becky Lynch arriving. I should say that it pans to Becky Lynch, but you get the point. Well, then we have an Aleister Black vignette. He talks some. He says the well is poisoned and he's going to beat Damien and that will purify it. But actually, some good stuff there. I actually quite like that vignette with Aleister Black. Which leads us to the match. We have Damian Priest versus Aleister Black. And before Damian can get to the ring, Aleister Black jumps him, robbing us of Aleister Black's entrance, because I like that coffin entrance. Anyways, he beats up Priest outside, and we go to break. It looks like Priest is being escorted away when we get back, but he decides to come back, and the fight is on. The bell finally rings. Damien hits this really interesting crucifix submission. I'm sorry, Damien gets locked into this by Black. And then there's a Meteora by Black. Priest tries to come back with a Razor's Edge. It's countered. South of Heaven attempt is countered. Priest finally lands some forearms and kicks. Hits a Razor's Edge on the announcer's table, which got a big pop out of me. But back in the ring, Black uses the ref to escape South of Heaven. Black Mass connects, and a win for Aleister Black. I thought this was a pretty good match. They beat the hell out of each other. They got their shit in, and it was a good hard-hitting match. What'd you think about it?
Well, my thoughts on this match, I'm kind of having a hard time getting into it. I'm watching the match and I'm thinking this is good, but it's how many times are these guys going to wrestle? And I've said this in previous episodes where like I am already beyond the point of kind of being tired of seeing them. They're good in the ring, but I don't want to see them wrestle every week. I want to see them go and progress. It feels like they've got to the point to where they're fighting, but they've never progressed past that because like it wasn't good enough that one guy kicked the other guy's ass and okay, we're going to go our separate ways. It's like, no, they keep kicking each other's ass over and over and over. They don't do anything else. And my sentiment with these two is the same. Put them in a Hell in a Cell or some crazy ass other kind of match to end it and move on. I did have another idea though that I think might be interesting, Vic. What if they keep fighting and they keep having matches and they do the Hell in the Cell and then they still are just beating the shit out of each other, and then one day all of a sudden they realize, hey, we should just team up. Like we're never gonna get over this. We're never gonna be, you got the best of me and we're done. Like we should just team up, and they would make a hell of a tag team. They would kick everybody's ass. They would destroy everybody. So there's an alternate option for you. Maybe a little cook in the books for Aleister Black and Damian Priest there. But yeah, I think towards the end of the match, there was a situation where Aleister Black shoved the referee to cause a distraction, and that's what caused him to hit the black mass.
Yeah.
Why wasn't that a disqualification? Like he literally shoved the shit out of that little referee.
Didn't he just like use him for leverage to escape the South of Heaven choke slam?
To me, it looked like he shoved him. It looked like he shoved the shit out, like, and not even like a push. It was like a shove, is what it looked like to me. That's what I saw. I don't know what you saw.
All right, we're challenging the play.
Right.
We'll go back and watch
it. Anyway, that was what my notes. That's what I had in my notes. Why wasn't this a disqualification? Using the referee in such a way, and then I don't know. Anyway, summarizing, I'm tired of it. I want to see them either kill each other or team up.
All right. Then moving on. We got a video package with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, sponsored by Twisted Tea. So they're trading barbs and threatening to beat each other up, and a match is set for next week. Also, speaking of matches for next week, we get a backstage segment with Tiffany Stratton, and she says Jade runs her mouth, but the talk ends next week. And then she says, don't worry about her foot being on the rope. It's going to be stuck up Jade's eye of the storm. And then we cut to Jade Cargill, who's with Nia Jax.
Brown
and they have they've got a verbal clash going as well. And Jade says she's going to get that title from that blow up Barbie doll. But it looks like they're planting seeds for a future feud with Nia and Jade. Thoughts on the package, the video package from Randy Orton and Drew, and the backstage segments with Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill?
Honestly, I don't really have anything on the Drew and Randy Orton deal. That was something that kind of breezed by me, and I didn't really pay it a whole lot of attention. As far as the, you said what? It was Nia Jax and Jade. That's what it looks like is going to happen. Okay.
Yeah, well, like planting seeds for future feud.
I hope Jade kicks her ass. I think that would be a good win for Jade, even though I think there's a lot of people that don't take Nia seriously, but she's a refrigerator of a human being. And I would like to see Nia Jax, slam her, power bomb her, whatever, show her power in some kind of pretty physical contest and come out the winner. That's what I want to see.
All right, let's do a quick sidebar, quick little prediction, a little slick Vic pick or Mr. Mosley's musings.
Oh, should we get the music out for this? Is it that serious?
Let's do it. Let's do it because this is a big match next week.
All right. Well, where's your crystal ball? The music doesn't happen if the crystal ball doesn't come out. Uh-oh, there it comes. Impromptu Vic's picks. What's your prediction here?
All right. So because this next week, I should say, as we're recording this, we haven't watched SmackDown yet, but Tiffany Stratton is going to be facing Jade Cargill for the women's, SmackDown championship tonight. Oh, who is going to win this match? What do you say? You got a prediction?
Uh,
I'm gonna stick with Tiffany
yeah,
Stratton.
I'm gonna stick with. I don't see the belt changing on a SmackDown in that manner. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna say Tiff.
Okay. Until we meet again, my friend.
Till next week.
All right. So our next match is we have Michin versus Julia. Julia is, of course, accompanied by her American spokesperson, Kiana James. And this is actually for the women's U.S. title. But first, we have a backstage segment with Becky and Aldis where Nick doesn't want any more issues. Becky says sure, but laughs it off, and we're back to the match. So they start off with some flurries. Julia hits a nice backbreaker from the apron to the floor, or I should say neck breaker from the apron to the floor. But then we go to commercial, and we come back. They trade German suplexes. Michin hits a cannonball in the corner. Julia hits a Northern Lights bomb, which is kicked out by Michin. Michin hits a pretty nice Hurricane Rana from like the apron to the floor onto Kiana James. But then Julia hits a Tiger knee, which I believe the commentators called the Arrivederci for the win. Decent match, you know. I don't have a lot of interest in these girls, unfortunately.
Oh,
But you know, I'm still waiting for the. I still feel like Julia needs to have her big breakout moment because I heard a lot of buzz about her when she came in, and I feel like we haven't seen the big match. We haven't seen like a really good match or any really important moments. I mean, yeah, she's the U.S. champion, but I don't know. I'm not sold on Julia yet. Well, those are my thoughts. What about yours?
I understand your thoughts there. The women's U.S. championship, and really, to a larger extent, the United States championship on both ends, both titles, are really some of the worst booked championships, I think, right now. Yeah, well, the men's has had some big moments here and there, but really, it's just kind of, you know. But I got to disagree about the match, dude. I don't know what it was. I was glued to this match. And I know a couple or three or four things that it could have been. But I will just say that it was a fairly solid match. I enjoyed it. I thought both of the girls were great. I even went so far as to write that SmackDown knows what they're doing with their mid-card division here, because I thought this was a great example of what a United States championship match, Intercontinental Championship match should be. Workhorse, working your ass off in the ring, getting it done in the ring. Everything was pretty hard hitting and looked good except for the end, which had a series of super weak, almost botch-worthy moves, including the finisher by Julia for the win. It kind of looked like it was almost botched, and I might have even gave it a little
Jesus.
But I still like Julia, and I think that Julia might be my new favorite gal. I think that she's leaving quite an impression on me here. I'm a big fan of Julia here. Yeah.
All right. Big fan.
Yeah.
Put over strong. Okay.
Put her over.
You think
Put her over my shoulder and pack her right out of there.
All right.
No, they did really good. I thought they did really good. This was a solid match, man. And you know, any other time this would just be a match where it would be like, okay, whatever, maybe a bathroom break, or maybe I'm just going to sit here and kind of pay attention. No, I was glued, man. I thought it was really solid.
So then we get a short backstage segment with Charlotte. She's nursing her leg from last week's attack. And then she's being so dramatic. She's like, does nothing good ever happen to me in the city? Which, you know, I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Alexa and Lily playing doctor. Not so funny. So, yeah. I don't know if you have anything to add because we're about to go into the main event.
Yeah, I had nothing for that little doctor segment other than it was silly. It was just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, so our main event is actually a promo segment, and rightfully so because we have a big return here tonight, as we've obviously talked about at the intro of the show. It starts off with Seth Rollins. He's in the crowd. He says the legend of CM Punk dies tonight in Chicago. And to do the honors is Becky Lynch. The crowd is already chanting AJ Lee. Becky buries all the Chicago teams except the Bears, which, if you know anything about Seth, he's a big Bears fan. And she says, she's the best of all time. And it's not just her saying it. Other people are saying it. Sports Illustrated is saying it. The Chicago Tribune is saying it. And then CM Punk finally comes out, says this is not about her. It's about her. It's about him and that coward of a husband of yours. And Punk says, he's got, we're in Chicago. He's got people everywhere. He's got his back, including his sister. He starts calling out other people that can, help him with Becky. But Becky fires back greatly. Becky was firing on all cylinders, I should say, really. She was doing a great job. She was just, giving out as much as she was taking really well. All right. So then Punk leaves the ring, says he wouldn't put his hand on a lady. But thankfully, there is someone he knows who will. The familiar music hits, and it's AJ Lee. Cinema.
Light it up.
Yeah. She skips to the ring, spears Becky, hits some punches. She retreats. The heels retreat. And Punk and Lee embrace as SmackDown in Chicago goes off the air. This was good. This was really good. Good stuff. And AJ Lee got a monster pop, a Road Warrior-like pop when she came out. It's been 10 years, just like with Punk. We miss her. She was well. We talked about it earlier. She was really popular at a time, and she stood out at a time when, this was the Divas era. They had, Nikki Bella and, other women from that era, like Alicia Fox. I'm trying to remember some of the other women from that era.
It's hard to remember them.
The point is Becky. I'm sorry, not Becky. AJ Lee and Paige stood out so much because of their gimmicks, their characters. They were not model girls. There was the goth girl and the punk rock nerdy girl. All right. Well, what did you think of this segment there?
It was incredible. It was incredible. I when I seen that, I thought, oh man, I bet Vic's kicking himself in the ass for not buying those tickets, because it was such a moment that I couldn't imagine being there. But yeah, other than the sort of the play-by-play of what happened, I wrote, we all seen it coming. We did last week. We all seen it coming, but the moment that the music hit, we knew it was real, and it was just an absolute moment. The crowd was going wild. I also really liked, I've not heard anybody talk much about how proud CM Punk looked. Watching his wife come down to, he just looked so proud. And it was even a little bit emotional to watch him and watch her and kind of understand what he was feeling for her. And you knew she had to be ecstatic too, but she was trying to play the character and do her spot, do her segment. But yeah, it was kind of emotional seeing Punk, and it was a huge pop, and she whipped Becky's ass, and it was just a great moment. This is one of the greatest feuds that's happened really in WWE in a very long time, because it's got elements of reality with it. It's a personal feud. Yes. So yeah, I really liked it. It's great.
Do you really buy that these two want to kill each other?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to turn the mic over to you. Do you want to start covering Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and jump into it if you're ready to jump into it, Vic.
I'd buy that for $1.
All right. So, Monday Night Raw from September the 8th was at the Fiserv Arena in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And which apparently is just about an hour away, an hour down the road, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. I could have gone to both shows and made it back in time for tea.
You could have went to one show and then, stayed at a hotel a couple days and maybe hit a couple bars up and went to the other show, and could have been a hell of a time. But, yeah. So let's start with Raw. So these are my notes for Raw. I think they're pretty well complete. hopefully I don't miss anything. Vic, you're very good about hitting all of the segments, and I find myself sometimes missing a few of them. But nonetheless, the first thing that happens on Monday Night Raw is we see Jey Uso. He enters through the crowd. He's yeeting ensues. Everybody's yeeting as usual. He gets about halfway down the arena, and then Jimmy comes out from another entrance as he's walking down, I guess, to lower arena, whatever you might want to call it. This is where I also mentioned that Joe Tessitore is sitting in for Wade Barrett tonight. He said Wade Barrett was on vacation. I don't know if he's actually on vacation or if he's like, because something's going on. I don't know, but Joe's there, and which is good because everybody loves Joe. All right, so Jay gets down there. He starts to call out the Vision. Bronson and Breaker come out. Bronson says all he wants is for Roman's family to acknowledge their tribal thief. The Usos talk some smack to the Bronze, says they will face them at WrestlePalooza. LA Knight attacks the Vision from behind, then the Usos join in, getting the better of the Bronze. Thought it was a good way to start the show, getting the crowd hyped with the yeets and even running it back for him, as he is often asked to do. Plus the surprise of having Jimmy there as well. I'm not sure if this match was already booked. I got it here wrote that way, but it wasn't. We find out it wasn't in a moment. Yeah, or if we just seen it get booked in the segment. But either way, I'm looking forward to it. So I'm looking forward to that match. Thought it was a good way to start the show. Vic, what do you think?
I am happy to see the Usos back. I'm looking forward to that match because I think the Usos are one of the all-time greats, and I'm going to be watching that for sure. LA Knight sounds great as always. And the Bronze, they're doing their thing. Yeah, that's basically all I got, really.
All right, sweet. So solid start to the show. We get a match then. AJ Styles versus El Grande Americano. I put version 2 here next to El Grande's name. We start this match, but then we go to, there's like a backstage segment, and this becomes a running theme for the show, I feel like. Like they start a match, and then all of a sudden there's a segment going on backstage that they have to quickly get in there before the match starts. But we have a backstage segment. LA Knight says he doesn't care who it is. If his name is Braun, he wants him in the ring tonight. And he lists a bunch of Brauns, even LeBron James.
I have that. I was going to mention that too. And Charles Bronson.
Yeah. But as far as the match goes, AJ has a lot of offense right off the bat. They decide to ring the bell and start the match after Grande is thrown back outside the ring, which I thought was a weird timing to ring that bell.
Yeah. I caught that too. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's usually the other way around, but eventually another El Grande shows up. I guess this would be version 3. And he holds AJ Styles' leg, preventing him from hitting the flying elbow and giving Grande version 2, or the actual Grande in the match, a chance to attack. We go to a commercial break. Come back from the break. Grande is still pouring on the offense. Grande 2 is still looking on from ringside. Tessitore mentions that Grande is 5-0 on Raw. And then during this match, LA Knight and Bronson Reed is made official for tonight's main event. So we get that announcement as well. Dragon Lee shows up to prevent further distraction from the second El Grande. And AJ hits the Styles Clash to Grande 1 for the win. I know there was a lot of 1s and 2s and versions in that, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. So I guess the undefeated stat didn't age well. I felt like that was placed on purpose. Like he said that on purpose. Felt like it didn't age well, but it was a fun match, as most matches with El Grande are. You get the comedic aspect of El Grande and the in-ring expertise of AJ Styles, and it's a good time. Good match for all that went about the perfect amount of time, I felt like. So, yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good match. I wouldn't rank it in the top greatest matches of all time, but for a Raw match, I thought it went the right amount of time, and I think it went the right way. And aside from the match, apparently during that little commercial break I mentioned, AJ cut a rather Well, no, not during that commercial break. Would it have been during the other commercial break that he cuts that promo?
Yeah, I missed that whole thing.
Yeah.
I need to I need to go back and watch that, to be honest with you, but I'm sure you'll cover it in detail. But hold on a sec. Who did you say went over in this match?
AJ Styles.
Okay, there was a streak you said AJ was
El
what
Grande.
was his streak?
Joe Tessitore mentions that El Grande Americano is 5-0 on Monday Night Raw.
Okay. All right.
And then he loses this
All right.
match to AJ Styles. I don't know if it must have been prior to the match actually starting, or maybe it was during the backstage segment or something like that. But AJ cut a rather scathing promo that was off camera. And
I
it's
heard
sort
about
of been
this.
making the rounds, and that's something that I will not be going into it in detail because I don't have specific details, but I have the gist that we'll get to that here in a little bit after the review. But yeah, as far as the match goes, like I said, good match for Raw. Anything to add, Vic?
I agree. I agree. I thought it was a great match. I love the aggression that AJ showed during this match. I thought his offense looked really vicious and angry. And but there was that one spot where El Grande Americano threw AJ at the steps, and he took a massive bump. Like he took he totally flipped over at the steps. It looked really good. I said there's a nice rack bomb by AJ. Springboard blockbuster by Americano was cool. And there was a, let's see. Yeah, those are the spots I noted in my notes here, which I thought were really cool. And yeah, I dug it.
You're talking about that rack bomb. I don't know what it's called either, but I really like it too. He's got it. He spins him off his shoulders and comes down like a sit down power bomb. Yeah, I like that. It's good
Exactly.
shit. Good shit, pal.
Good shit.
All right, so then we're on to another match, Slick Vic. We got Lyra Valkyria versus Raquel Rodriguez. And it's been a few weeks since we've seen an enthralling Lyra Valkyria match. I'm wondering if my mind will change at all here, or maybe we'll see Bayley make her return during this one. Spoiler alert, we did not. Um, During this match, again, we have the official Nikki Bella versus Asuka is made official for later on in the night. Back to the match. The crowd's chanting, "Let's go, Lyra." Lyra gets in a lot of offense, with Raquel countering the fast-paced offense with her usual big power moves. Though most of the match went Lyra's way, Raquel ends up winning clean with a Tejana bomb. So not a lot of play-by-play there. And not for any particular reason. I was paying attention. I was giving Lyra the benefit of the doubt, but I got to say, Lyra's spinning kicks and high-flying moves usually look good. They do. They look good. I just think that her striking and her ground attacks look incredibly weak. So it's sort of a weird thing to watch her matches where some stuff she hits so well, and then other times it looks like she's punching a pillow or something. Like, it's so fake and phony to me to sit and watch. Like, I can't believe an entire match of hers. It's not easy to watch an entire match because of the inconsistencies, and the booking / producers in charge of Lyra should be fucking ashamed of themselves, Vic. Fucking ashamed of themselves. Going from that insane, way over the top beating that she got at SummerSlam to now losing to one finisher from Raquel Rodriguez. I could see this match making more sense if that insanity at SummerSlam had not happened, but to make Lyra seem so resilient, then to now, a few weeks later, getting pinned in this fashion is crazy to me. Powerbomb in the corner was wild. I guess that was just a spot that I liked. I thought she was about to botch it and fall on her head. And that's all I got for that match. Sort of out of order there. But yeah, the biggest takeaway from that match, I wasn't any more impressed by Lyra. I really tried to be. But yeah, the booking. Vic, did that cross your mind at all? Like, this girl got killed 4 times at SummerSlam, and now here she's losing clean to a Tejana bomb from a mid-carder.
I, I didn't think about that, to be honest with you, but I can see your point. And yeah, but gonna say so. I feel like I was gonna say something about that, but I lost my train of thought. But well, if I can go about the match, so I can say I did like the knees to the side that Raquel hit on Lyra before the fallaway slam, and there was like this springboard jackhammer move, which I thought was cool. And the corner power bomb struggle was like, at first it was like, okay, this is looking awkward. Oh, we got maybe we got something here,
Mhm.
and, cool, whatever. But to be honest with you, I was just bored with this match. I don't dislike either girl. There's just I just felt like there was no heat, and I even though it's what I don't remember how long. I don't know exactly how long the match went, but it felt like a really long match. Like I would have trimmed maybe 3 or 4 minutes out of it. But oh, I know what I was going to tell you. Like, so you think Lyra should have done some politicking backstage to be like, hey, I took 3 manhandle slams through tables and I kicked out of all of them, and I took 20 kendo stick shots and kicked out of them.
Yes.
But I'm gonna lose to one Tejana bomb 1, 2, 3.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, she should have took up for herself here, but like it was so obvious
She
that
should have.
she's just doing what they're telling her to do step by step. There's no arguing. There's no like this obviously fucking doesn't make any sense.
She should have, stroked her feathers and said, "That don't work for me,
Right.
brother
Yeah,
or sister."
absolutely. Yeah. If anything, she should have won this match. Why can't if it didn't matter, which it really didn't, it was sort of a nothing match. Why couldn't she have been the winner of this match? Why not? Obviously, she's going to go into a feud with Becky, or not Becky, but
Yeah,
Bailey.
Bailey. Yeah,
She's been in one of the main feuds or surrounding the Intercontinental title and Becky and all that for several months now, and of course, you know, Raquel's been working her ass off, so props to Raquel. I like Raquel Rodriguez, but there's no reason why Lyra couldn't have won this one, and they couldn't have shaved off 5 or 6 minutes from it. I agree.
can I add one more thing? There was a backstage segment before this match where we had the Kabuki Warriors doing their thing, which we're gonna. I don't know if you've noted that, but they're all over the show.
Oh yeah, constantly, yeah.
As Michael Cole said last week, it's the strangest thing I've ever seen. And I don't know, man. It's I think I've asked you this last week. Are you an anime fan?
No, it's not that, and
Me
when I
neither.
say that, I don't mean that I don't like it. It's just not something that I've ever followed. My experience with anime and is the movie Akira. I think most anime fans have probably watched Akira, and a lot of people who aren't anime fans, one of the greatest movies ever. But that's about as far as it goes for me.
Yeah, I'm same here. I don't dislike anime. I don't hate it. I've just never. I was just never a fan. My wife is a fan, and my wife, gets a kick out of seeing Asuka and Kyrie do their over the top, especially Asuka's, you know, motions and sweat and screaming and whatnot. And I'm like, these are anime characters, aren't they? And she goes, "Yep." I'm like, I see. The thing, what I'm trying to say is, I just don't get it.
Yeah,
It's just, it's not my it's not my cup of
right.
tea.
Yeah. Have you seen Akira, by the way, Vic?
No, I haven't.
Has your wife seen Akira?
I don't know. I have to ask her.
Well, let's ask her. Let's take a poll here. Who's seen Akira? Fans, listeners,
Hey,
let's have you seen Akira and what do you think about it?
have you seen the movie Akira? Do you remember liking it, disliking it, thoughts?
Um, 20 years ago. I remember liking it, but I don't remember much of it at this point. I'd have to watch it again.
Did you catch any
I
of that?
did. I caught part of it, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Well,
been a long time.
she said she's a fan. It's been a long time, so she doesn't it's not fresh in her mind at
Okay,
all.
good. Well, you need to go out and watch that movie, Slick Vic.
Okay. By next week I will have my review of Akira.
Yeah, you'll like it. Trust me, you will like it. I promise you will. It's great. It's
Okay.
crazy. You'll have to watch it like 2 or 3 times to understand what's going on.
Okay. I'm hoping the Kabuki Warriors are all over next show so I can, finally feel the vibe and the
Yeah,
riz of what's going on.
You'll have a little bit better understanding then after you watch Akira.
Yeah. Last thing I want to add is, where is Stephanie Vicaire?
That's a good question.
because they were going to do a contract signing this week, but then they threw it out last minute and they decided to make a match. Or was that last week? I can't even remember. I think that was last week.
They
My
were going to do
timeline's
a
a little
contract signing that they didn't do. That is right.
So yeah, I'm like, where is Stephanie Vicaire?
You're right. Was that supposed to be this week, or was it
This week,
next week?
next week.
Hold on. I'm looking at my notes here.
It was apparently this week. It was supposed to be this week.
It was supposed to be this week, and they just didn't do it.
They just nixed the contract signing for reasons.
Wow, that's shitty.
And yeah, that's a that's kind of a big title match. It's winner becomes women's
I
champion.
wonder what happened there. I'm gonna have to look that up. I didn't even notice while I was watching. I guess I wasn't really anticipating it, but yeah, that would have been something that I would have liked to have seen, especially considering it was advertised.
I do have my I have my pick already in mind for next week for that match.
Okay.
Because I do sense a little bit of long-term booking coming out of that.
Okay.
So I'll elaborate next week.
All right. Well, let's move right on to the next part of the show here. We got an in-ring segment. This one was kind of a long one, but obviously the reason is because we see AJ Lee again. We get back, and it's one of those times where it's like silent for like 5 or 6 seconds, so you know something's about to pop off. And of course, it's AJ Lee's music hits, and she gets a loud pop. She comes down to the ring wearing Becky's Intercontinental title. I don't know if it was caught on last week's episode, or SmackDown rather. I don't think that it was, but she snatched the title and ends up taking it with her. The crowd's chanting "Welcome back." AJ says she will introduce herself to those who aren't sure why their millennial parents were so excited to see her last Friday. She says she is everyone's favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. Talks about going to therapy and getting mentally better after she retired 10 years ago, and that she was doing better until seeing Becky Lynch smacking and motorboating her husband last week. CM Punk. Then Becky's music hits. She comes out and berates the crowd, says AJ doesn't deserve to put a finger on her title, to which AJ Lee lays down the belt and tells Becky to come and get it. And the crowd is chanting chicken at Becky. Seth Rollins' music hits, and he comes out, says he will handle the situation. AJ says she will give Becky her title back if she accepts to a tag match, her and Punk versus Becky and Rollins. Rollins tells AJ he calls the shots, not her, and he enters the ring to get the title for himself. AJ jumps between Seth and the belt, preventing him from getting to it. Rollins starts yelling at AJ as CM Punk sneaks down to the ring with no music. Punk nearly hits Rollins with a GTS, but he escapes. Rollins then accepts the tag match at WrestlePalooza. Slick Vic, your thoughts?
All right. I mean, we mentioned at the top of the show or earlier in the show that this was not going to be the only time we talked about Metal Gear Solid, because I did not catch this the first time I watched it. I can't believe I didn't. I'm kicking myself because I'm like a pretty big Metal Gear Solid fan. But the first words that came out of AJ Lee's mouth for this promo was, "Kept you waiting, huh?"
Oh.
So
wow. Is
there's
she a Metal Gear Solid fan? Was this actually like a Metal Gear Solid thing, or was this just coincidence, Vic?
I really hope it was not a coincidence. I mean, she even said, "Huh," kept you waiting, huh? So,
all right, cool.
I do remember, way back then, AJ Lee talking about her love for video games. So I wouldn't be surprised. I will do my investigative work later to confirm this information.
Until you do that, Vic, we will go ahead and say that that was definitely a Metal Gear Solid quote. You heard it here first.
AJ Lee is a solid. It loves some Snake.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure she does.
I thought the promo was great. I thought that was a lot of fun chanting. But what was when I was hearing AJ Lee first talk, I was like, is she genuinely nervous, or is she acting? Because she seemed a little frazzled at points. I don't know if she was just, it's just been a long time. She felt a little, anxious, so to speak. But, or was that just kind of her acting it out? Not sure. But anyways, good stuff. I love the chants. There was a chicken chant. There was a therapy chant. And Becky's fantastic. I'm gonna keep screaming that every chance I get, because she is doing so well against all these fans. Like, she's in there with AJ Lee, who's coming back after 10 years, and Becky is doing fantastic. I love Becky's work here. She stood toe to toe with CM Punk last week. She's great. She deserves all the praise. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this, and I am really looking forward to the match.
Absolutely, yeah. Should be a good show, and like I said earlier, man, this is the best feud, angle, storyline, whatever you want to call it, in WWE in a very long time, I feel like. So I'm excited to see it too. I'm excited to see it evolve. Next, we got a match, Slick Vic, and guess what? It's time for Senior Monday Night. We got Penta versus Rusev. And I think there was a backstage segment, a really brief backstage segment that led to this match being made.
Yes, I was going to bring that up, but if you want to go ahead and finish your thoughts, go ahead.
Okay. Well, we'll get that with your thoughts. I don't have specific notes on that segment that happened, but during the match, and again, the match kind of not starts, but you get the entrances, and then we have a pre-recorded segment that plays of Bayley, and she's showing off some strange multiple personality behavior here. She's going from depressed to laughing about hurting people. She's hearing the voices, and it ends with her saying, "I'll make it right." So, not sure where this will go, but here's assuming Bayley ends up attacking Lyra and setting up a match maybe at WrestlePalooza. Again, these notes were made on the night of SmackDown. We don't know what's went on tonight's on Raw. But we don't know what's went on tonight's SmackDown, and of course, we don't know what's going to happen on Raw, but that's sort of my prediction, if you will. Time is running out, though, so she would need to show up next week for this to happen, obviously. Back to the match, Penta versus Rusev. I was really kind of excited to see this. I always like seeing Penta, and I really like Rusev too, even though, it is what it is. But he's sort of coming back into his element, I feel like, a lot. But this match was pretty one-dimensional, I feel like. Penta gets the offense early. Rusev rallies a bit after escaping to the outside. He tosses Penta into the announce desk. Rusev charges at Penta, who dodges, causing Rusev to crash into the stairs. We go to a commercial break, and when we come back, Penta is still on the offense. The New Day with Grayson Waller come out to the ring. They get taken out by a splash to the outside by Penta. Penta hits a Mexican destroyer, but only gets a 2 count on Rusev. Xavier Woods manages to cause a distraction, leading to a Machka kick as Penta flies from the top rope for the 3 count pin. Thoughts? I like this match. Penta shines as usual, dodging most of Rusev's big attacks. Really, this was like 95% Penta just beating on Rusev and avoiding everything that he was throwing at him. I'm not sure, though, that even without the interference from New Day, would Penta have believably beat the Bulgarian Brute. Still, Penta looks good even with a loss, and Rusev comes out looking like a pure fucking T-800 Terminator with one massive kick to secure the victory. Your thoughts, Slick Vic?
Man, to me, this was a short nothing match, to be honest with you. I would have liked to see these guys go 5 minutes longer and maybe have some more, maybe have like a stipulation for like a number 1 contendership for the Intercontinental title, because there wasn't any heat. This is just, there's the New Day stuff going on, but I don't know. I wasn't really feeling this one as much this time around. And I love Penta. And by the way, he hit the. I believe Cole called it a Mexican destroyer, but that was clearly a code red.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Or
It,
Pop
it wasn't
Rocks.
exactly a Mexican destroyer, but it was. They called it that, so I assume that's maybe what they were going for, like maybe a modified Mexican destroyer.
I believe Rusev's had some long, well documented neck issues. I can't picture him taking any Mexican destroyers right now.
Yeah, good point.
But to touch on something you mentioned earlier, there was a backstage segment earlier in the night where, first of all, like the War Raiders tell Penta that they got Penta's back, and then Penta goes up to Adam Pearce and he says, everyone loves Penta except for you. And Adam's like, what are you talking about? I love somebody new every day. But then, what's it called? That's pretty much it, really. But a match is made between Penta and Rusev, and that's what we just discussed right now.
All right. So then we're gonna go to. Well, let me go back to my notes here and figure out where I'm at. Oh, backstage segment. L.A. Knight. So we get L.A. Knight. He's talking to Jimmy Uso and tells him if he wants to help, don't help, and that there is no we. Right. So it's still this thing. It's been going on for a couple of weeks. Everybody's they're sort of trying to help each other, but then they're like, I don't want your help and leave me alone, but they won't leave each other alone. They keep hanging out. And that's basically my thoughts. I don't know where this is going, but I like the fact that Knight and the Usos are involved in the main event scene, and I'm excited to see what happens. So I don't know. I can't book this one. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited to see it. Any thoughts on that one?
Just, I like LA Knight's mic work. It's great. But one other thing we missed was there was a backstage segment with the Usos, and Jimmy was telling Jay that he's starting to sound like Roman. And if you remember, Roman told him a while back, you got to start looking out only for yourself.
Yeah. Where Jay says just smash everybody. Yeah, it's like verbatim what Roman says.
Yeah. So when I was watching that backstage segment, I'm like, is Jay gonna turn heel? No, I hope I'm not getting into spoiler territory here, but I'm like, I can't see that happening because the Heat thing is just way too over to just turn heel. Yeah. But we're gonna talk more about this in the main event,
right? Exactly.
So I don't know if you want to touch on that promo or not, or just get right to it in the match, because the end of the match is going to tie right back around to this promo.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the match because that is sort of setting up what happens later with Jay. Just talking about just smash everybody, don't trust anybody, whatever, happens. So it's really confusing, and even after the show and after what happens at the end, it's still kind of confusing to me. But yeah, we'll get around to how that evolved here in just a moment. But then we have a match between Nikki Bella and Asuka. So, man, I think Asuka really helped Nikki look good through this match, at least until the end. Nikki Bella is what she is, and we've talked about it in the past. She's not really a legend. She's not a great in-ring worker or anything like that, but I think Asuka doing what she does, and it was kind of obvious watching it, like she was really helping Nikki look good. By about the last 2 or 3 minutes, though, you could just tell that Nikki was already blown up. And it was kind of off-putting watching Asuka hold back and purposely sell some of Nikki's offense, considering I still like to think of Asuka as this killer Japanese warrior in the ring. It had that big, long, undefeated streak in NXT, and then came to the main roster, and she was kicking everybody's ass. And then we see her here, and she's kind of clowning around, which is appropriate because she looks like a clown with her face paint. But her face paint's cool, by the way. I do like clowns. I enjoy that. But
I like her face paint too.
It's pretty cool.
I want to add that. But that's a good one, bro.
But, I held my disbelief by considering Asuka was merely playing with her food here. That's what I wrote in my notes. She's playing with her food. That's how I chose to see this when I was watching this match. So you're not getting the killer Japanese warrior because Asuka thinks there's no chance she's going to beat me, so I'm just going to play around with her a little bit. And in doing so, Nikki was able to get some offense in, et cetera, et cetera. Kayfabe it a little bit. But in the end, Asuka won clean via tap out to the Asuka lock. And that was it. Vic, your thoughts?
Man, pretty much going to echo most of your sentiments here, but it's just, yeah, Nikki felt out of place. Asuka had to noticeably pull back, and I did not like the match.
Okay. Well, that was straight to the point, Vic.
And I don't have this hatred towards Nikki Bella, but I'm just not a fan.
I don't know why she's there. Why is she there?
Yeah, she just seems out of place. I mean, it's funny because if Paige comes back, they are really bringing back these Divas era women with Nikki, AJ Lee, and Paige. But I never thought Nikki Bella was a good wrestler. And seeing her versus Asuka is just weird. It's like, what's going on here? Like,
if Nikki wasn't already in the Hall of Fame, if she wasn't already in the Hall of Fame, I would say this makes sense. They're going to put her in the Hall of Fame, so they're bringing her back for a little run, and then they're going to put her in the Hall of Fame. She's already in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Why is she here? What is she doing? What are they doing with Nikki Bella? Like, what is... I don't know. I don't get it.
Who is she over with?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I think she's over with the girls backstage, but that's about it.
But she's not a Trish Stratus. She's not a Lita. She's not even she's not a Victoria. Why not bring Victoria back? Where's Victoria?
I know.
God, she had the best fucking finisher of anybody ever. Do you remember the Widow's Peak?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That was a hell of a
great finish.
That was a hell of a finisher.
Yeah. I think I gave myself that finisher when I played SmackDown.
Yeah. That's a good finisher. It's badass.
Yeah. Like for my creator wrestler,
yeah.
I gave myself that finisher.
The Widow's Peak. Do you remember going to her establishment there in Chicago? One of the first couple of marathons that we did?
I did. Not only that, but I was there for a pay-per-view once.
Really?
I can't remember what it was, but I was there for a pay-per-view once, and she was there. She was watching it with us. She was really into it. She was like, selling all the punches in her chair. So
awesome.
Yeah. And she was cool.
I like how this segued into something interesting. Where's Victoria?
We got, bring back Victoria.
Yeah. We're going to start a campaign.
Last time we saw her, she showed up at a Royal Rumble like 2 or 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
She was like one of them surprise entrants.
Probably got thrown out instantly, too. She probably didn't get to do anything cool. It's usually how it goes for them gals.
She probably hit a spider web on one of the girls and then a Widow's Peak on somebody else and then just got tossed out.
Yeah, they need to bring her back. They need to bring back... they need to bring back Jacqueline. Remember Jacqueline from the Attitude Era? She was a hard ass.
You think she would need... yeah, she was.
I like Jackie.
Okay.
I sense you're not a fan.
I'm surprised. I mean, I don't really remember much of Jackie other than her feud with Sable.
They should bring back Sable. There we go.
Well, Brock needs a mouthpiece or a valet.
Exactly. Why don't Brock should get in? Brock should just randomly go and start feuding with CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and then bring back Sable as his tag team partner.
Yes.
I heard that he signed a new contract, so he might be around for a little bit longer than we're expecting him to be. So
let's get some more of these husband-wife feuds.
Yeah, we want to see Sable again. She's got the coolest theme music ever, too.
Yeah.
Got the whip and the wildcat screaming and shit. It's good stuff. Let's talk about this main event real quick and wrap up Raw.
Okay.
All right, so the main event of the evening, we got LA Knight versus Bronson Reed. So he got his Braun. And I wrote this was pretty much a run-of-the-mill match between these two. There's a reason why they are in the main event. Knight's in-ring work is fantastic. I know we've talked in the past that like his in-ring work's okay, his mic work's where he shines. I'm kind of starting to flip on that, Vic. I feel like he can do it all, man. I really enjoy seeing LA Knight in the ring. He may be my number one top favorite guy to watch match wise. Like just the way he throws punches and attacks, and he's so aggressive, and it's really fun to watch. It's believable. Bronson is big and powerful, but he ends up missing most of his big devastating attacks during this match. Obviously, he goes for a lot of splashes and stuff, and he misses them, and apparently that saves LA Knight from being murdered in front of, 10,000 people. My favorite part was not even really a part of these two doing anything. My favorite part of this match, Vic, was Braun Breaker barking at Knight on the outside of the ring, and then getting involved behind the ref's back. And I wrote that Breaker is really showing he can do it all, and he just gets better each week, it seems like. Ultimately, Breaker caused a momentary distraction on the apron, allowing Bronson to hit Knight with his finisher for the win. And I put DVD, in other words, Death Valley Driver, because to me, that's basically all it is. I don't know what he calls it. Edge, something Edge.
Jagged Edge?
Jagged Edge. It's a Death Valley Driver.
Yeah, Death Valley Driver for sure.
And then post-match, we get the Bronze beating down LA Knight. Jimmy Uso comes down to the rescue, but he ends up getting his ass kicked. And then we get Jay coming down to the ring to help out. But he gets a mean spear from Braun Breaker and gets his ass kicked. And then LA Knight shows back up in the ring with a chair and saves the Usos, chasing the Bronze away. But shockingly, gets speared out of his boots by Jay Uso. And that was basically the end of the show. You got Jimmy standing there wondering what the hell's going on. He's trying to check on LA Knight after he gets speared. He's looking confused at his brother. And I wrote, this was a somewhat anticlimactic end of the show here, but it will be interesting to see where this goes, seeing as how it seemed like the air had been cleared between LA Knight and Jey Uso. The three guys got the upper hand on the Bronze here just to have it fall apart due to Jay's actions. And that was the end of Monday Night Raw. So, Vic, what are your thoughts on this?
I thought the match was good. And like you said, I actually do think LA Knight is great. I mean, he reminds me, his in-ring work, and I mean this, and I mean this as a compliment. He reminds me of The Rock. Like I always liked The Rock. I was a big fan of Rock from late 90s, early 2000s era when he was still a full timer. I was a big fan of that Rock. I'm still a fan of The Rock right now, but I was a big fan back in the day. And Knight's offense reminds me a lot of that. He's doing the whole people's elbow, his own version of it. He's got his own catchphrases. His offense, he's got big moves. So yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah. As for the match was all right. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Bronson Reed. I feel like you kind of have to work around his limitations sometimes. But decent match. But the biggest thing was the ending. I was genuinely surprised because I'm like, this almost feels like a heel turn. Did you feel that way at all with Jay spearing LA Knight?
I didn't feel like it was a heel turn as much as it was him just kind of making, maybe he's changing his personality a little bit, but I don't feel like he's going full heel here because he's still, against the Vision, the true heels on the show. They're still feuding with them. He's getting back with his brother. Obviously, his brother isn't a heel. I think I looked at it more as a personal thing between LA Knight and Jey Uso that they're going to have to get worked out rather than him going full heel. I understand this was sort of a heel thing to do, but I don't think it's a full heel turn for him.
Okay. It'll be interesting. Yeah. Cause I can't picture Jay coming out to booze next week or even in the next few weeks. They're just going to keep yeeting every time he comes out and he's going to run it back.
Yeah, I don't think that he's going to get booed anytime soon, and I don't think that they're going to waste that opportunity to sell some T-shirts and use some airtime to have the crowd yeet and be involved and all that good stuff. It would be a waste to get rid of that right now, but maybe they will. Who knows? That's why I say it's confusing. I mentioned earlier how they did the backstage promo, and it's confusing, and it's still confusing even after the end of the show what's going to happen, but we'll have to see. I mean, it's exciting because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. I really don't know where they're going with this. So we'll see what happens. But that was Monday Night Raw, Slick Vic. And wow, what a show. I think this week we had really Monday Night Raw was really good. I think SmackDown was especially good, though. I think this is the best SmackDown that we've seen in a long time, in ages and seasons. All right, Slick Vic. So the next PLE that we got is WrestlePalooza, and this is going to be the first PLE on the ESPN deal. I've already signed up for the ESPN deal. I got screwed because I didn't cancel my Disney Plus deal through the Google app, so I got charged for Disney Plus twice technically, and I'm already pissed off and tired of this bullshit. You said that you've got the VPN deal going on. Whatever kind of magic trick that you're pulling over there with your crystal ball, I don't know, but I'm just paying for all of this stuff, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. Hopefully I'm not out an incredible amount of money to watch all this, but it's getting kind of expensive and it's kind of ridiculous. But WrestlePalooza, what at first I thought was sort of a joke PLE, like maybe just a regular, like brush it off PLE, has become a big deal in the past couple of weeks. It's going to be the first one on the ESPN app, and there's some big matches for this. So far, we anticipate that they're going to be adding to that. And of course, with next week's episode, we will have the return of Slick Vic's picks for WrestlePalooza. But at least right now, I want to touch on a couple of topics for WrestlePalooza. And look at the card so far. How many matches do they have? What is the card so far? Do you have that information there, Vic?
Yes, I do.
All right, let's see what's going on with it.
We got 4 matches currently on the card. Now, again, I have not watched SmackDown yet, so if I, I'm sure if I did a refresh or a Google search, there might be another one. But right now, I got 4 matches here. We're going to assume we have not, because we haven't watched SmackDown yet. We're just going to go by what we've seen. We've got Io Sky versus Stephanie Vicaire for the vacant Women's World Championship. We have the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, versus The Vision, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. And John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. So we got 4 so far,
4
with
matches.
possibly another one or two added.
1 or 2. Yeah, the general thing I think for the past couple of PLEs has been about a 6-match card, right? You had 6 matches.
5 or 6.
Wasn't it 6 matches for Clash in Paris? And then you had 6 matches each night for SummerSlam.
Let's see. For Clash in Paris, there was...
Well, they had the 5, and then they added that one that we didn't get on the show. That you.
There was 6. Yeah. Yes, you're right.
Okay. So anticipated two more matches to be added probably. And again, neither of us have watched tonight's SmackDown yet to see if there's been anything added from that show. But of course, we got tonight's SmackDown, we got Monday Night Raw, and then we got next week's SmackDown leading into WrestlePalooza to kind of fill out the rest of the card. But I mean, that's a hell of a card so far, really, for something that seemed like a sort of a joke. I mean, the name even WrestlePalooza echoes Great Balls of Fire top titles for PLEs for me, but it's shaping up to be a hell of an event. But one thing that I saw in the past few days is that there are a lot of theaters. Well, I won't say a lot. I'll say select theaters, big theaters, brands that are going to be bringing this to the movies. You're going to be able to go to the movies and watch WrestlePalooza on the big screen. And I did a little bit of research into that, and I have a theater, not necessarily, well, it's sort of local to me. It's about an hour and a half away in Lexington. It's a movie tavern. And they are apparently going to be showing this. I'm not going to be there to see it. Basically, the main reason being is because even though I think this is cool and this is a really great idea, I don't want to sit in a movie theater for 4 hours. so I don't think I'll be there for WrestlePalooza, but maybe a 2-hour show or something, I would be down to go to the movies and watch a wrestling pay-per-view. But I think this is awesome because it's like kind of old school, right? Before pay-per-view, they had
Closed caption.
not closed caption, closed circuit.
Closed circuit. Closed circuit.
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
they had what was called closed circuit, and this is before my time, so I don't know if I botched this or not, but I think closed circuit was basically like a satellite signal that they sent to the movies, and that's how you got WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 3, those older original WrestleManias, or they did it in arenas too. They would actually show the
Yeah.
the pay-per-view in an arena, and it's sort of going back to that, and I think it's a great idea. I think they should do this all the time. It would be so fun to go to the movies with a bunch of wrestling nerds and just watch a PLE.
Yeah.
You're going to be there for a while. But another thing too, Vic, like I said, I don't want to be in there for 4 hours, but then, you know what? Come to think of it, the theater that I mentioned, Movie Tavern, what's cool about this, and I'm spoiled on it a little bit, is if there is a movie that I really want to see in theaters, I don't go I don't go to the movies unless it's a movie I really want to see. And in that case, I go to Movie Tavern. I have a local movie theater 5 minutes down the road from me. I will not go there because I'm spoiled on the reclining seats, the menu that's got more on it than popcorn and candy. I mean, they got like quesadillas and burgers and everything at this place. But the
Yeah.
number one thing,
Mhm.
and if you look at this isn't actually the glass that I got from there, but I have one very similar. It's like the same size. You can buy this at Movie Tavern. It's called a tankard. And once you buy the glass, you own it. And you can take it home and bring it back with you next time that you come, and they will refill it. You just pay a refill charge, and they'll refill that son of a bitch, and you can just sit and drink beer the entire time at the movies. And so I'm in heaven in a recliner drinking draft beer, and I couldn't. They'd have to gurney me out of this place after a PLE, but I mean that sounds like a lot of fun.
A tankard of
A
ale.
tankard of, well, I prefer Blue Moon, but yeah, actually Blue Moon is an ale. It's a pale ale, I think. Is it a pale ale? It's not a pale ale. It's orange.
Belgian something.
I think it's a Belgian pale ale or a Belgian white
Yeah.
ale, maybe.
I believe it's a wheat beer. Wheat beer.
Let me see. Blue Moon beer. All I know is it's good. I like it. Blue Moon Belgian
too.
white. It just says Belgian white.
Okay. I would classify like wheat beers.
Belgian white, Belgian style wheat ale. It says.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
There we go.
Mystery solved. Vic,
I
mean, what do you think about this, man? Do you think it's a cool idea? Would you ever go to the movies to watch wrestling?
Yeah, I would. I mean, we talked about this earlier. I went to Victoria's restaurant to watch a pay-per-view way back in the day, and it was a lot of fun. You had people reacting to big spots and whatnot, and there was even a cosplayer or two there. So that's cool. And this is that was like, God, that was 10, 15 years ago now. I'm sure that when you've from what I've heard, there's a lot more cosplayers now at like tailgating events at these wrestling shows, which is awesome. Yeah. Love it. There's like a YouTube channel or a Facebook Reels group called Machoverse, which I think is hilarious, which I think is awesome. You just all these wrestlers, cosplaying outside the events. Fun stuff. But anyways, this gives me vibes of like, there's that movie The Room and Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Wait a second. You're not comparing The Room to Rocky Horror, are you?
Why not? They're both like midnight classics that are played frequently with people going to the theater to react and be loud.
Wait, you're saying they're still showing it? Is that what you're saying? That's how you're drawing the comparison? Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know they were still showing The Room. The Room's a terrible movie.
Yeah. I still haven't seen it. I really need to see that movie.
It's awful.
I've seen a lot of the clips like "You're tearing me apart, Lisa," and "Oh hi,
Yeah.
Mark."
I didn't do
But
it. I
the point
didn't
is,
do it. Oh, hi, Mark. Yeah, it's so fucking
yeah,
silly, dude. It's so bad, but like it's sort of like got a cult following. Rocky Horror is a masterpiece, I think. You
okay.
don't think Rocky
I have.
Horror is crazy? It's just a weird like
I
fever
mean,
dream type movie.
I like some of the songs. I like Tim Curry, but I was it was okay. I mean,
You know, when
I don't know if I
they
was.
were trying to talk Tim Curry into playing that role, because I don't think he auditioned for it. I think like he showed up and they would they I don't remember the story exactly. I'm probably botching this, but I think they took him to a play of Rocky Horror, and he ended up running out of the theater when he saw who they wanted him to play, because he was like, "Fuck that, no way." He was totally against it at first, and then he absolutely like just, oh my god, so good, so good.
Yeah, there's like this running thing on the internet where it's like, people have their people's favorite Tim Curry movie. Usually, like, says a lot about them. Mine, it's funny because when I think of Tim Curry, the first thing that comes to mind is actually Home Alone 2.
Oh wow, yeah, okay.
But it is also a close second.
It is my number one, because it is such a near and dear story movie. Both movies, the book, it's probably my favorite thing. That if you were to say like what's your favorite horror story, mine's it. 100%,
favorite
without a doubt.
favorite piece of horror media.
Piece of horror media, and that includes the book, the old movie. The new movie was great too. I mean, I just love that story so much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I grew up with I grew up with the Home Alone movies. Those are my Christmas movies. So I think of the hotel clerk from Home Alone 2
yeah,
as when I think of Tim Curry.
yeah. Well, he had a lot of. He was in Clue. That was a good old one. Did you ever see Clue?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, it's a good movie. My wife's a huge fan of Clue.
There was
Huge fan.
what was the
into that
movie
one.
where he played Satan and he had the big over exaggerated horns and stuff? Legion, was it Legion?
Legend.
Okay.
Which I swear to God, what's that guy's name? Shigeru Miyamoto had to have taken some influence from. I think he's denied any influence from that movie. But come on, there's got to be. I mean, when I watch that movie, I'm getting Legend of Zelda vibes.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man. No, well, we've got on a Tim Curry tangent here. We were talking about WrestlePalooza. But yeah, WrestlePalooza will be in theaters. You guys should check it out. Anything to add, Vic?
The point I was trying to make was I haven't been to any of these midnight screenings, but I imagine there's a lot of sing-alongs or quoting when you see like The Room or Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna go see WrestlePalooza in the theater, you're gonna go L.A. Night.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be great.
Except he's not on the card.
Not yet.
Hey, maybe. Yeah, but if when Stephanie Vicaire locks in the Devil's Kiss, you can all go
yeah,
together,
right? And you can have it in a massive in front of your face, like you want to sit in the front row for that one.
Yeah, we get tickets for the front row for that one. Or if when John Cena goes, "You can't see me," you all do it together. Right. Yeah, I did actually see there a lot of concert films come to theaters too.
Okay.
So I did actually go see the band Ghost. Have you heard of Ghost?
I've seen it on something, maybe a shirt of yours or a shirt of somebody's. I'm familiar with the logo, but I'm not familiar with the music.
So my wife and I went to go see their concert film, and I was actually hoping there would be more singing along. There wasn't, but there was a lot of, people vibing and, bobbing their head, banging their heads and throwing their arms up in the air.
Maybe there wasn't enough alcohol in this deal? Did they sell alcohol at the theater?
They do. They do.
Okay.
But I don't think anyone was coming in with any libations that night.
Okay. Well, I definitely would be. I'm a fan of the beer in the movies. But all
Okay.
right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
WrestlePalooza in theaters. Go out and check it out. Let us know what you think if you happen to go see it in theaters. I probably won't. I would like to, but just being completely transparent right now, there's a good chance I won't be there for that one, but it's a very good idea. I really like it. I think at the end of the day, I don't really have any wrestling friends close to me, local, that I could go watch that with. So I would be sort of just geeking out on my own and like being super drunk. And I would probably feel like an idiot when I left from there. But great idea. Great idea. Hopefully some of our listeners
yes.
are able to get out and do that. And we'll find out what it was like for them. But we talked earlier about on Monday Night Raw, AJ Styles had a match with El Grande Americano, and I think I botched the positioning of this promo. Must have been before the match, but AJ Styles cut a promo, and it was sort of like a pop bomb, where this was something that he didn't do on screen live for the camera. He just kind of did it there in the arena, and it was very candid. And basically, Slick Vic, he was saying that somebody doesn't want him there. One of the higher ups, somebody in charge, apparently doesn't want AJ Styles there anymore because they've singled him out. They've got rid of all of his friends, Gallows and Anderson. He says Gallows and Anderson is gone. I think he mentioned Meechin. I don't know how he was related to Meechin in any way, but he said that she was on SmackDown. But he said that he's kind of been singled out and he's been positioned to lose, but that he's going to kick El Grande Americano's ass, and then we'll see where we go from there. But it was sort of a weird pop bomb moment. Now, the thing about this promo is that even though it seemed like it was sort of breaking the fourth wall and he was doing something that he wasn't supposed to do, WWE put it up on their YouTube channel. So I don't think it was too secret, so to speak.
That tells me it was scripted.
Right. It may have been like a scripted shoot. Well, no, I don't even think it was a shoot because
Work shoot.
I don't even think it was a work shoot because I don't see AJ Styles really feeling that way. Like this really does seem like a scripted event, but I don't know where they're going with this because who's he talking about? Triple H? He can't fight Triple H, can't wrestle. Like, where would he be going with something like this, Vic? I'm confused. I have no idea where this might lead.
I mean, he was last feuding with Dominic Mysterio and then transitioned to a match with El Grande Americano. So I don't know. Maybe it's just he's going to have a feud with the Authority.
I'm not sure how well you are with like AJ Styles history, but I read somewhere that maybe they're going to like run back a gimmick that he used to have, like a lone wolf gimmick that he used to have. And that was sort of the point of this, where he was saying, I'm all on my own. Somebody doesn't want me here. So he's going to, bring about this lone wolf gimmick. And I'm not familiar with it. I don't know what they're talking about. If this was something in TNA or something he did in Japan, or I don't remember this being something that he did in WWE. Do you?
That does actually sound a little familiar. I wasn't watching TNA that much at the time, but I do remember like Styles coming back from a lengthy break with longer hair. He was wearing hoodies. And that's probably what they're referring to with the lone wolf gimmick.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm confused. Hopefully some of our listeners can enlighten me a little bit on this. I've just barely scratched the surface of it. But yeah, AJ Styles pop bomb, and we'll see what happens from here. It's again, this is something that I'm interested in seeing where it goes, but I'm really confused as to what's going on. Same thing as like with Jey Uso. But that's pretty much it for, the wrestling news this week, Slick Vic. We got the SmackDown review in. We talked a little bit about WrestleMania being in Saudi Arabia, which is wild. The Raw review, talked a little bit about WrestlePalooza. We've did it all. We've gave the listeners everything that we can give them this week, but there is a little bit more that I want to be able to bestow upon our listeners, and specifically our good friend Kristen. And you know Kristen. I know Kristen. We all know Kristen. He's our good friend. He's our number one fan. This past week.
Hello, Kristen. Sorry. Hello, Kristen.
There you go.
Give you a little shout.
Yeah. This past week, we put up episode 7 on YouTube. It was the first time that we've actually put a full episode on YouTube. We always put our episodes on Spotify, which we will continue to do. The format may change. I've not really decided how I want to do that yet or not. If I want to keep putting the video part of our shows on Spotify, if I just didn't want to do audio. I guess it doesn't really matter, but definitely on YouTube, you're going to get the video. You go to YouTube to watch videos, you go to Spotify to listen to stuff. That's kind of how I see it. So, but anyway, Kristen decided that he comments on our episodes. He always has a super long post. He listens to the whole show and he comments on just about everything that we talk about. This week, he commented on our YouTube channel. And again, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you out there who maybe haven't yet, go and give us a follow on YouTube. It's going to be youtube.com/wrestlingwithpowerpodcast at Wrestling with Power Podcast.
Yes.
I forgot. YouTube's fucking weird. So you got to put the @ sign in there and then Wrestling with Power Podcast, and you're going to find us on there. Episode 7's up. I'm not sure if we'll put the episodes before that on there. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, but we at least got episode 7, which was the Clash in Paris episode. This episode will be on there, and of course, as always, on Spotify. You can find us on Spotify, Wrestling with Power, and Facebook, facebook.com/Wrestling with Power. We'll go ahead and we'll just put all of our social medias out there while we're here talking about it. But so Kristen had a pretty big, as usual, a pretty big comment on here, and it was in reference. This was on our episode from last week, so we'll just kind of read over it here, if you will. Kristen, he thought that Clash in Paris was a solid B show. He says the crowd was amazing. He agrees with Vic that Cena versus Paul was definitely a good time. Says that he's really happy that it looks like they're finally pulling the trigger on separating the Street Profits. Montez has so much single-star potential. As for the Kabuki Warrior segments, I just get nods to watching Japanese wrestling promotions, considering how over-the-top they're being most of the time. The reason we've been getting so much of them as well is possibly because they're setting up for an Io-Asuka feud. And, obviously, Vic and I, we've pretty much got that eventually down the road, it's going to be Io versus Asuka. Maybe Io's the one who walks away with the world title, and then Asuka challenges for it. Who knows? Who knows where they're going to end up with that, but I definitely think that they're going to be clashing before long. Kristen goes on to say, I honestly think Sky versus Vicaire at WrestlePalooza could go either way, considering the possible Sky-Asuka feud and the fact that Perth is in Rhea's home continent. And Vic, you alluded to that earlier in previous episodes.
I have things to say about that.
Vic has some things to say about that, and I'm sure we'll get into that a lot more next week with next week's episode, which will include Slick Vic's picks. And the Rhea Punk thing feels like a red herring, considering what did happen on this past Friday's SmackDown. As for AJ Lee, reports have come out saying she has signed a full-time multi-year deal with WWE. So I think we're probably getting a lot of what you guys are talking about, and obviously we did. We got all of that good stuff. I especially like this part of the comment. Mosley is absolutely right when it comes to AJ Lee during the Divas era. She's a good wrestler, but this was during the tail end of the Divas era, so there wasn't much in terms of quality wrestlers around her. Hence why she's more known for her amazing character work, and Vic, you touched on that earlier, her and Paige. I think Mosley also nails what comes after WrestlePalooza for the Punk couple, but I think it's happening at the Crown Jewel show next month in Perth with Rollins versus Punk and Becky versus AJ. So Kristen's bringing that feud back way earlier than I assumed it would. I think they got some mileage to maybe make it to Mania with this feud, but Kristen thinks it's going to be a little bit earlier. He also says, my VPN is a very low tier one as it's through my antivirus software. I only really use it for AEW and TNA pay-per-views as the price goes down significantly for the pay-per-view prices on Triller when they think you're buying from the UK. The good ones that work for exactly what you want it to have a monthly subscription. I would believe you should buy one if you don't have ESPN on your current cable plan or you just don't want to be a pirate. P.S. Be careful with playing the entrance themes now that you're on YouTube. The copyright hammer doesn't play around in these parts. Well, you know what? Slick Vic and I are not scared of any hammers, and we'll play whatever the hell we want. If we get to those 100 followers, we're playing music and we're drinking beverages and we're going to have a good time. Slick Vic, do you have anything to add to the comments of our good friend Kristen?
Well, thank you so much for the comment, Kristen. We encourage you and anyone else to comment on our videos. We'd love to hear from you, even if you disagree with any of our takes. It's good discourse, so to speak. So thank you for the comment there. And you putting over Mosley is a baffling choice, but I'll let it go.
I think he put you over a little bit too, Vic. So it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is
because you got a big kick out of that whole. Hey, look what he said about me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when we started out with this, Kristen was like, "Oh man, why don't you like Lyra Valkyria? She's so great." And then I tore her ass, and then it went from there. And I didn't think I was getting anything from this cat, but he's giving me a little something here, so I got to take it while I can. I'm sure maybe next week we're going to hear a little bit different story about things. We've had a lot to talk about on this episode. But that was Kristen's weekly comment, and we definitely appreciate it, Kristen, as always, man. You are the man. Kristen, huge wrestling fan. He's been to a couple of WrestleManias himself. Good friend. I've met him in person, hung out with him. He's a really good person, really big wrestling fan. And we always appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for the comment.
Yeah. I will be providing more information. He touched on this earlier about the Perth, Australia show. I'll go into my long-term booking. Not that long-term booking at this point, but my medium-length booking next
Your
week.
average
when I talk
length booking.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, at least it ain't below average. The last thing that we got to talk to you guys about today, and this is something that just came up with the past couple of days. It was kind of weird because usually whenever I do the show, I always talk about, hey, go to our Facebook page, add our Facebook page, comment on the post that we make about the episode or whatever post we make. Feel free to comment on there, comment on our YouTube, comment on Spotify. You can even leave comments on there. This was a direct message from a listener that we got, and it was just kind of out of the blue. I don't think I really noticed it at first because I'm not used to checking that kind of thing, but we got a message, Slick Vic, from a listener, and I won't, give out their full name and social security number and everything, but I'll tell you, the guy's name is Nick. So Nick, thank you for sending us the message. Maybe next time, leave us a comment on a post. That way we can see it more visibly because I'm not always checking the messenger of the Facebook page. If you do it on one of the posts, I'm going to see it, obviously. But if you just send me a direct message, if you send our Facebook page a direct message, we may not see it right away. So, but either way, Nick says he messages the Facebook page and he said, would you do a good old WWE pay-per-view review for me. And I said, well, what did you have in mind? And he specifically referenced Survivor Series 1990. Apparently, Nick is a big fan of Survivor Series 1990 and asked if we would do a review of that show. And when I seen this, my first thought was, well, Vic and I, we've talked in the past about possibly doing some retro reviews. Going back and doing, WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, maybe some Survivor Series, King of the Rings, Royal Rumbles, whatever from the past that we might do. We've talked about that. We've not really worked it into the plan yet, but this got me thinking, Survivor Series is coming up, Slick Vic. It is the Thanksgiving Day tradition, as they used to say. It happens in November around Thanksgiving. And I think that it would be appropriate for us to do this and for us to actually sort of make this something that we do on the semi-regular basis of having a retro review of a PLE pay-per-view that is coming up in modern days. So we got Survivor Series in November, and I think that within the next several weeks, Nick, it's not going to be next week. I know you just requested this. We only do the show once a week. So it's really all we have time for. So ideally, what will happen is one of these weeks where we don't have a current WWE PLE to cover, or before the PLE, obviously we have segments we like to do, Slick Vic's Picks being one of them. That is a major segment that we like to do that takes up a good amount of time for the show. One of these episodes where we just have a Raw and a SmackDown review and not a whole lot else going on, we will do retro review of Survivor Series 1990. And beyond that, we'll do retro reviews of anything else, WrestleManias that we like. Like I said, like I mentioned a minute ago, there's all kinds of back catalog stuff that we can do, that we love, that we talk about, that we grew up liking. And when you mentioned this, I thought, wow, Survivor Series 90, that was the Undertaker debut. That was the Gobbledygooker. Like, that's one of the most well-known Survivor Series ever. And Vic is going to be ecstatic about this because this was like his thing, his bread and butter. This was like, has Slick Vic wrote all over it.
Well, I have a very special connection with this event because this is one of a handful of WWF pay-per-views I had a bootleg VHS of when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then I would watch it over and over and over. So I'm very familiar with this card. I mean, it's been a long time, but when I was a youngin, I've watched this event maybe about a dozen times.
That's so cool. That's so awesome. You had a bootleg VHS that you just watched over and over.
Over and over and over.
The Gobbledygooker, the Undertaker, the whole 9 yards. Jimmy Snuka was in there, I think.
The first match was the team was the Ultimate Warriors. It was made up of Ultimate Warrior, Texas Tornado, and the Legion of Doom, which are all warriors, because you had the Road Warriors. Kerry Von Erich at the time was the modern day warrior, and you had the Ultimate Warrior to take on the Perfect Team, which was Mr. Perfect and all three members of Demolition: Axe, Smash, and Crush.
So, yeah, I mean, this is really like, Nick, you mentioned you want us to do this review. I'm sure that we would have done this review even if you hadn't mentioned it, because it's just something that, like I said, we've been talking about. We love the old days of wrestling, and we came up in different times. If you listen to the very first episode of Wrestling with Power that we did, we kind of talked about our upbringing in wrestling. Vic was more of a new gen era. It is when he kind of got into it in those early 90s, early to mid 90s. I was more of an Attitude Era type dude. So anything from that time period. And that, I've retroactively went back and watched all kinds of content from back in the day. So I can hang with, with Slick Vic. But this is Vic, Vic's, like I said, it's his bread and butter. I'm sure that we would have gotten around to doing that, or at least talking about it in different segments. But yes, we will do a Survivor Series 1990 review, and make sure that you follow us on Facebook, because we make posts on there sometimes to kind of talk about what we're going to be doing on an upcoming episode. So you may see that, hey, we're going to be doing this Survivor Series review on the next episode, or the week after next, or whatever it is, whenever we decide. And that way that you can keep tabs on everything that's going on. But yes, we will be doing that. And as well as any other retro pay-per-view and any other requests that any of our listeners have, we appreciate everybody that sends us comments, feedback. We do have an email address. I don't think anybody likes emailing us, Slick Vic. We haven't gotten a single email yet, which is fine. We have so many other outlets. We got the Facebook, we got the YouTube, Spotify. It's fine. You don't have to email us. But we do have an email. It's wrestlingwithpower@gmail.com if you prefer that method. Send us any questions, comments, feedback, anything that you want to. If you want to call me bad names, call me bad names. Anything that you want to do. We're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up in a nice, pretty little bow. Before we do, though, Slick Vic, is there anything else that you want to add?
Well, I look forward to reviewing Survivor Series 1990 when the time is right. But until then, thank you all for listening, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
And make sure to stay powerful, everybody. Goodbye.